Hello, fellow Wind in the Willows fans. Good to be back. I'm now picking up where I left off back in the summer, doing more videos on my Wind in the Willows collection. So if you've been following my previous videos, I was taking everybody through my collection of merchandise based on Cosgrove Hall's 1980s animated series, The Wind in the Willows. I'm celebrating a particular episode's 40th anniversary each week. So back in 1984, when the first series was first broadcast on ITV in the UK, they did the first 6 episodes earlier in the year, which I covered, and they picked them up again now in November. So here we are now. It was actually on the 9th of November back in 1984. I know this is going out on the 10th, but it's the same weekend anyway. And back in 1984, that was the broadcast of the Grand Annual Show, so episode 7 from series 1. So what I look at in the videos has no particular sort of relevance to the episode, but it's just a way of celebrating 40 years week by week. Now I've got a plan now running up to the end of the year, ending with a bit of a Christmas special where I reveal my most prized pieces in my collection. I'm looking forward to sharing those with all of you. But for now, I'm going to start with these wonderful plates brought out by Aynsley. Now, I did do a previous video on some other plates that were brought out by a company called Crown Staffordshire / Coalport. But these ones I really love. These are made by a company called Aynsley, who are still around today, I believe, established centuries ago, actually. And they make plates, pottery and figurines, things like that. So back in I think it was the 90s, they brought out these wonderful plates that were based on directly on the series. And what I love about these is they're so authentic in many ways. So if I just lift this one up here, this one, as you can see, it shows us Ratty's riverbank home. Ratty and Mole in the boat there with some ducks dancing around them. And it's almost as if we're looking at a scene from the original film there, when Mole first goes out on the boat with Ratty. Now, what's very special about these is they are illustrated by the original illustrator of the series, none other than Beverly Bush. I'm so glad these were done this way and that another illustrator wasn't commissioned, because Beverly Bush, in my mind, is the definitive illustrator of not just Cosgrove Hall's The Wind in the Willows, but I probably shouldn't say this, there's lots of other wonderful illustrators, of course, of the book, but in terms of sort of depicting the Cosgrove Hall look, of course she was the original illustrator and did all those wonderful titles in the original series. So I love this. I love the illustration in the centre, and of course you've got all this wonderful foliage around the edge there, different flowers, we've got a bird up there, and also we've got the original typeface for The Wind in the Willows there. That's a lovely touch as well. You can just about see there, it says the riverbank. So this is plate, well, they're not actually numbered, I don't think, but there are 6 of them in total. If I just turn this round as well, see there again, The Wind in the Willows, designed exclusively for Belling and Rees by Cosgrove Hall. And you can see, if I bring that closer, made by Aynsley, established in 1775, so quite some time ago. Fine bone china made in England. Beautiful, beautiful plates. Now, what's interesting about these is they came in 2 sizes, large and small. So they do pop up on online, on eBay particularly, quite often. They're not super rare. You can get them, but they often go for fairly high prices these days. They're quite sought after. I'm glad to say I have all 6 plates in both sizes, naturally, but it did take me a while to acquire all of them. I'd say that the smaller ones are less rare, a bit more easier to find. For whatever reason, the larger ones are a little bit more challenging to come by. But it's nice. You can see in this small one, I actually have these hanging on the wall. So I've got this wall hanger on this one here. Very similar on the back there. Actually, some differences. Don't get the lettering around the edge there, but otherwise the plates are pretty much identical. Just the Wind in the Willows is in a slightly different place there, but there you have it. Beautiful, beautiful plate. If I just put that aside, I'll move on to the next one, depicting the famous Mr. Toad. So I love this because this is an illustration based on the sort of what I would call the classic Toad pose that we see in the opening titles of the series. and he would have been posed by Barry Purvis. He was a master at posing characters, let alone animated them. And it just has so much character, this pose. The weight is right, his posture, everything is absolutely right. And what's interesting about this is we do, of course, have two weasels lurking in the background there around Toad Hall, as if they're about to sort of, storm Toad Hall or fight for it. Almost like depicting the battle scene towards the end of the film. And otherwise, everything else is identical to the previous plate. We've got the same sort of foliage around the edge there, Wind in the Willows in the centre there, and on the back, everything is the same there. So there we go. That's we'll just call it plate number 2, and then plate number 3. Oh, I mean, look at the colours of that. Isn't that beautiful? If I just bring that a bit closer, gorgeous, gorgeous colours, and I love the just the homeliness of it, which sums up Mole for me. And I can just show the shine as well if I get the light right there. Just beautifully, beautifully done. So that, of course, is Mole Spring Cleaning. And this almost, for me, if you put these plates up, it almost doesn't quite tell the story of the Wind in the Willows, but it does feature quite key scenes. And this, of course, is the first scene in the film and indeed the book. There we go. Again, all identical on the back and around the edges here, but it's just that central picture that, of course, is different on these. Move that to the side, and next we have, of course, Ratty himself, simply labelled the Water Rat. This is actually sort of reminds me of a scene in The Ghost at Mole End. So if you go back and look at that episode, at the beginning during the narration of Ian Carmichael, you see Ratty in a similar pose to this, leaning on this desk. It's not a sort of scene that you see that often. But it is more sort of decorated with various props that you might see in the series. So, of course, Beverly Bush had great attention to detail. If I just bring this a bit close, you see things like an oar. We've got a map down here. I think we've got some sheet music there. Called, don't know if that is sheet music, actually. Don't know. But Ratty, of course, was a pianist. We've got a little calendar there. Interesting. We've got the date there. I believe that says April the 10th. There we go. His seat there, and his iconic, I would say, clothing, his blue and white striped jacket there. Beautiful, beautiful illustration again. That's plate number 4. Plate number 5, of course, we have Badger, and this is labelled or titled Badger's Parlour. And again, beautiful colours. Again, this is a very homely one. And if I just get the light right there, look at that beautiful gloss on it. So you've got Badger there by his fireside, and I love the chess set there. We see that chess set fairly often in the series, and it's always at an angle like that on top of the table. The prop itself was glued down in that way, and I love that you have the sort of hanging vegetables, onions, and so on that Badger, of course, always had. So yeah, there you have it. Another gorgeous plate, and finally, number 6 is probably my favourite one, to be honest. And this one depicts all 4 of the characters, the 4 friends. I love this plate. This one actually took me a long time to find. I had the other 5 for quite some time. I want to say quite a few years. The very first one I got was Ratty, the Water Rat. But this one, for whatever reason, I found extremely difficult to track down. I found the smaller version, if I just bring that in. I did find that quite some time back, but this one, I don't know, just it wasn't even eBay. I got it. I think it was Facebook Marketplace, I think. So I just kept looking and looking, and finally, thankfully, I found it, and I could complete the set. Probably because this is so sought after. If you're going to have one plate out of all 6, I suppose this would be the one with all 4 characters. And I love the pose. This, of course, is based on a sort of classic portrait, a photo that you see fairly often on merchandise. I think maybe on one of the annuals. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking a little bit wrong there. Similar photos anyway. I love it because you've got them sort of with the riverbank sort of behind them there. You've got the little bit of countryside, and it's fairly muted. You've got sort of pastel shades, which really sort of brings the characters forward. Just bring that in a little bit. And of course they are all in their sort of classic costumes. Toad's red and white checkered suit, Mole's cardigan there with the huge holes between the buttons, ratted striped shirt and so on, and jacket, and you've got Badger's overcoat and his scarf there. Quite interesting, because with Badger in the other plate, if we just compare, he's got his sort of interior clothing, you could say his smoking jacket, I'd say, and his hat there, so nice difference with Badger there. So there you have it, and like I say, I do have these smaller versions as well of all of them, which I do proudly hang on the wall. Yeah, there's the small one there of the 4 friends. So yeah, beautiful plates, like I say, not too hard to find, but some of them, like this one, yeah, pretty challenging, so do look out for them if you haven't got them already. Yeah, this was a fairly short one this week, but like I say, I'm glad to be back. I have got a plan. I suppose starting with this week, really, these are the most special items in my collection. And they are merchandise, but as we get towards the end of the year and Christmas, we're going to start looking at some non-merchandise items, so sort of one-off items that I'm very proud to own, limited editions and things like that. So yes, very exciting stuff. I hope you'll enjoy the videos. Next week I am going to focus on the company Aynsley again, because they did also bring out some figurines. Now, I did actually cover them in another video quite some time back. It was meant to be an unboxing video, but it was a bit disastrous because they were broken when they arrived. They arrived from the States. But they are beautiful figurines that I'd like to do a detailed video on. And the reason they're so special is because they are actually sculpted at Cosgrove Hall. So those figurines together with these plates, yeah, just very, very special to me. So I look forward to sharing them with you properly. And after that, yeah, more and more exciting and very special things to come. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please, if you haven't already, subscribe, ring the bell. There will be notifications and so on every week now, like I say, up to the end of the year. And yeah, I look forward to sharing more of my collection with you next weekend. All right, thanks, all the best.